Welcome to Nerdindex, and today we're going to be previewing the fall 2024 anime season and trying to guess which show that's newly airing might take the #1 spot in the crowd favorites. First, we're going to look at the shows that will continue to air. They started in the summer season and they will end during the fall season. The first show under that description would be 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, which is supposed to be another cosplay show. I've heard that it's like a harem version of My Dress Up Darling, and I think it'll be interesting. And I've been told that it doesn't have as much racy material as it seems to want you to think it does, based off of one of the people I know who's watched it while it's been airing weekly. Next, I haven't seen anything saying a final episode for Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, so we can only assume it will continue to air into the fall season. I am on episode 11, so I'm caught up with the releases on this one, and I feel like we're still kind of doing what I was upset that it was doing at the beginning, which is just reiterating different story beats or moments from previous seasons, like seeing copycats of the whole gang or like the fairy tale battle and all of that. It makes me sad that they're not focusing on the new dragons more and they're not doing more of like a honed process, but I guess that's fairy tale, you know? They just go out and they do more shenanigans than focus. So now starting with the shows that will begin airing in October, or roughly the first week of October, we have the return of ReZero with its season 3. I feel like there's so many episodes between season 1 and 2 that I don't want to have to rewatch everything, but I would probably see myself rewatching the end of season 2 just to get myself caught back up to where we are, but I'm excited to see what happens. Then we have Blue Lock season 2, which I'm planning to watch the movie episode Nagi before, and maybe that'll jog more of my memory. It hasn't been that long since the first season aired too, and so it's kind of like I don't feel like I need to remember exactly which guys dropped out from the training program, because like obviously whoever's still there is who matters. So I don't think I'll have to rewatch the first season to get back into this. I'll also be watching the next arc of Bleach 1000 Year Blood War. I feel like what they've done so far with the Blood War has been really engaging and fun to get back into it. Then we have Spirit Chronicles season 2. This has definitely been long enough apart from season 1 that I'll have to rewatch it. And I do remember enjoying season 1. I just don't necessarily remember anything about it. Then we have Shangri-La Frontier season 2. I'm not super hyped about it, but the husband is very excited for this one, so we'll be watching it still. I kind of hope that now that we've met all of the characters and we've done so much like world building and stuff from the first season, that we focus in a little bit more on storytelling in the second season. That would make me happy. Then we have Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon season 5. I can't believe we're already on the 5th season. It feels like it's been a really long time and a short time. But I think that I don't know enough about Seir, the girl who's going to be highlighted in this season, to know how I'm going to feel about this one. I just know that season 4, particularly part 2, was really good, so I'm hoping that they continue to maintain that quality as compared to the season that I really didn't like when they were saving the fox girl. We're also getting a second season for Sword Art Gun Gale Online. I remember having mixed feelings about the first season. I didn't really care too much for the new characters that they had introduced there, and I think I rated it like a 7 out of 10. It wasn't bad, obviously. It's not like worth dropping or something unless it's really not your thing, but we'll see what they feel like they still have to explore and tell us with this second season. Now we have As a Reincarnated Aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world season 2. We didn't have to wait very long for this, and I'm glad because I really enjoyed season 1. It was fun, and I think that it will be interesting to see if we do finally officially enter the war or not, and, you know, continue to see their handling of the characters, which was really well done in season 1. Then we have Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deductions season 2. I feel like the first season, the cases weren't like that hard. They weren't very complex. So I'm kind of hoping we see a little bit more complexity from it. But I don't know if they will have multiple cases like they did in the first season, because it seemed like they were starting to aim us more towards the Sherlock Moriarty antagonism instead. It'll be interesting to see what direction they decide to take here. Now, this is one of my most anticipated returning seasons for MF Ghost Season 2. I'm so excited.
Someone has to hydroplane this time, right? Or are they just so professional? Oh, there's some hydroplaning. Oh god, of course!
Gotta be at least one button.
In the PV. It's expected.
I love cars so much, and I love the GT86. And so I have really appreciated the way that they did season 1, and I think that there's a little bit more of work that they could do with the characters and make the humans just as interesting as the racing, but I am still totally here for it, and I'm excited to see, because on season 1 they left us on a complete cliffhanger in the middle of a race, which is just not fair. Now we have After School Hanako-kun Part 2. I really enjoyed the first season, but then I felt like the subsequent release was just, I don't know if I'd been too far removed in time from it or what, but it didn't grab me quite as much, and I wasn't finding myself enjoying it quite as much. So we'll see what happens. And this is just another 4 episodes, so it seems like it's not, a true full season commitment. Then we have Rurouni Kenshin, the Kyoto disturbance. This is the 2nd season, and I am really enjoying this remake because I never interacted with the original content. I've never read the manga, and I didn't watch the first show, so I think that it's been nice kind of just going in blind without expectations or knowing anything about it, and I'm glad that they didn't make us wait too long for the continuation here. There's also Blue Exorcist Beyond the Snow Saga. I don't feel super excited about this because I feel like the quality of Blue Exorcist as a whole has been going down since the first season, and not because it changed studios or teams or anything like that. Like, people have been handling the adaptations well. It's just that, like, the story for me has been slowly going down in quality over time, and Shura is not one of my favorite characters for this story, so having a season that focuses on her is not something that I'm too intrigued by, but obviously I want to know what's going on with our 2 main characters, and I would hope that we will get another sequel season after this so that I won't have to go back to reading the manga just to find out what happens. Now, as the first newly releasing show that we're going to be talking about, we're looking at Blue Box. This is a sports romance anime, and I've read a little bit of the manga, a couple volumes. The manga was like good enough, but it was kind of average to me, so I'm hoping that having it adapted with the movement and the music and the voice acting will actually help increase the enjoyment of the story. Another new show is You Are Miss Servant. From the trailer, it looked like she has a really intriguing backstory, and I hope that we get a little bit of an explanation of how she knows him, or like how she picked his household to decide to be a maid. I'm sure it'll be something that is like explained in episode 1, otherwise it's going to be a very deep-seated secret of the show. But I'm interested from that bit of intrigue that they presented us. Then we have Loner Life in Another World. I feel like this is giving me Fruit of Evolution vibes. I don't know if I'm gonna be super there for this one, but it's one of those things where it's like you never know which isekais are going to be funny and engaging, or which ones are going to just be like cookie cutter, so we'll give this a chance. Next we have 365 Days to the Wedding. I'm always appreciative of anime trying to do adult aged character romances, but I feel like they do have a formulaic element to them similar to the high school romances. It's just different formulaic events. But I also think that the characters working for a travel agency has potential to make it so that we don't have to be in the office all of the time, which could be interesting. Next we have Yakuza Fiancé, which I have also read a couple volumes of the manga for, and I had the impression from reading it that they didn't feel like high school kids. It felt like it should have been an adult setting. I could be totally misremembering, but I think they were still high school age But it still felt very like mature content, but also that the characters themselves were acting way more mature, as if they were in like their 30s or something. But regardless of all of that, if you like the Yakuza style stories or featuring stories, then I think it's worth a shot. We have another villainess show. I will become a villainess who goes down in history.
Game
Isekai.
Isekai? Is that what I heard? Another villainess show.
Yeah, but like, we've had good
As
ones.
a small child. Adding up to your favorite, aren't we?
Gosh. How long are we gonna be small?
I haven't seen her big yet.
She was on the cover.
Was she really,
Oh.
though? It's a dude.
See, everyone else in the PV seems like they're teenagers. So she has to age up at some point.
The magic.
Sounds like a Vocaloid song. Her harem is all inclusive. Ugh. That was a lot of dudes. Could be that the cast is a little too big.
This time, it's a person getting reincarnated into a dating sim game, so we're doing the villainess plotline and we're also doing the isekai plotline. And it seems like potentially this time she's going to lean into being the villainess instead of trying to correct the actions of a villainess. So we'll see how that goes. Then we have Demon Lord 2099. I feel like from the trailer and the synopsis, they didn't really give us any information about what we can expect from the story or the characters. It was really just like a bunch of world building, which is fine. It's just that I worry that they don't have anything to place into the world to create a story and keep us engaged, so we'll have to find out from there. Then we have Tying the Knot with an Amagami Sister. I think this looks like it's going to be a really cute harem-style romance for the season. And a lot of the animation in the trailer was really pretty. And I'll just make a guess now ahead of time that the middle sister, Yuna, will be the one that wins. I don't know why, but I just get that feeling like the older sister's not gonna cut it, and the blue-haired girl usually loses, and so if you want to sit there and go with those tropes, then that's my guess. But for all we know, given current harem standards, he could just marry all of them. Then we have Orb on the movements of the earth.
Oh, where? Oh. Dear Lord. We'd be torturing people.
Coming in strong.
Oh, burning people in the courtyard. This looks like it's made by the Attack on Titan, like, team.
It sounds really intriguing as a story and something that we don't see often for anime, just like a unique premise, but also the trailer opens with a ton of prisoner torture and burning people at the stake and stuff, and so I'm sat there and I'm like, I don't know if they're going to go too psychological horror-esque into those moments and things for me to handle, but it's probably still worth a try. Then we have Nina the Starry Bride, which I've read some of the volumes of the manga for, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope that they can do a good job giving us those interpersonal relationships between Nina and Azure and Set, and maintaining those like more global political nation storylines together without it getting too bogged down. Usually try not to be that person that looks at the studio that's making it and like gets concerned, but Signal MD has made shows that are like majority I've dropped their list of creations in the past. I'm hoping that it's more like, because they already have the good story from the manga to work from, that this show doesn't suffer from being with that studio. So then we have the healer who was banished from his party is in fact the strongest, and after watching the trailer, it reminds me a lot of the Strongest Tanks Labyrinth raids. It gives that same vibe of like the main character is underestimated by everyone in their party because they specialize, and it at the very least seems like it's going to be more lighthearted like Strongest Tank was. Then we have Goodbye Dragon Life. The trailer made this look very slow life, so I think that even though they have this main character with a really intriguing backstory that they don't seem like they're going to utilize it very much. So this is one of those that I'm going to give it a try, but I'm going into it kind of feeling like it's probably not going to be my thing. Then we have the edgelord show of the season, which is the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. It seems like they have an opportunity for an interesting magic system here. We will just have to see the execution. Now we have the do-over damsel conquers the dragon emperor, and I've heard a lot of good things about the manga, and I am hopeful for it to be utilizing dragons more than the little tiny one that we've seen, although that one is adorable, and I'm hoping that it'll just be another cute, lighthearted show. I am sad that she's going to be basically a child the whole time, but maybe if she is able to experience this initial time skip backwards, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't engage a forward time skip or time alteration. Now on to Let This Grieving Soul Retire. It kind of seems like this is another potential cookie cutter show of the season, so I don't have super high hopes for it, but I do think that it could be interesting to see this perspective of him getting dragged around through all of this treasure hunting schemes and stuff. But I also don't know if that kind of a hook for the story can maintain itself through an entire show. Next we have How I Attended an All-Guys Mixer.
Oh, what is that? Do we have a guinea pig?
This seems like it could be a really funny romance show, and it's like soft BL because obviously it's still girls, but they're cross-dressing as guys to seemingly date these guy friends. I think the premise leaves room for a lot of shenanigans. Next we have A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School, which I was going to read the manga, but then they made the announcement for the anime adaptation, so I don't know firsthand how good it is, but I've obviously heard a lot of people say that it's really fun, and I love yokai stories, so I'm looking forward to this one. Then we have Mirai in Love, which has technically already started airing, but it is still considered part of the fall season. It's probably going to be the kind of rom-com where they don't ever get together, or at least you would think so, considering that he's still in high school and she's the teacher, but you never know. I think that if you look past grooming arguments and whatnot, then there might still be some comedy here to enjoy, especially from the extra cast members besides the main characters. Next we have Hagakura, which I feel like even after reading the synopsis and watching the trailer, I still don't have a firm grasp of exactly what's going on, and I'm kind of worried that it's going to be one of those pretty boy shows where nothing happens. So we'll see if they're able to bring any depth to the storytelling through the show. Finally, we have Negative Positive Angler. This seems like it could be, depending on the handling, very depressing because obviously he's told that he's going to die in 2 years. But then you also have the kind of heartwarming element of him finding these new friends and finding joy in life through fishing. And so again, it'll really depend on how they decide to focus the storytelling around his diagnosis. So for fall 2024, we are going to be trying a whopping 36 shows for the anime season. And I think that the newest releasing shows, like the not returning season shows that I have the most hope for, would be Nina the Starry Bride and A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School. So we'll just have to see how things shake out as the episodes start airing and what shows the community decides to latch onto. And in 3 months, December, January, when the fall season finishes airing its last episodes, after I watch through everything, you can expect to see a video doing a final review for the fall season. So if you're having fun, please like and subscribe.